Today is Monday, January 26, 2026. The time is 8:07 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to Geopolitical Updates from AGI Era. In a significant move poised to reshape global trade dynamics, the United States today announced a substantial increase in tariffs on a wide array of South Korean imports. President Trump escalated existing duties to 25%, alleging that Seoul has not fully honored the terms of a previous trade agreement. This unilateral decision, impacting sectors from manufacturing to agriculture, could trigger a cascading effect across international markets and strain a key bilateral alliance. The White House maintains the tariffs are a necessary measure to ensure fair trade practices, while South Korea's response remains to be fully articulated, though early indicators suggest strong disapproval. The imposition of these heightened tariffs introduces a fresh layer of uncertainty into an already fragile global economic landscape, with implications that extend far beyond the immediate economic fallout. Turning our attention to the Middle East, Israel has confirmed the retrieval of the remains of Ron Gvili, identified as the last remaining hostage from Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lauded this as an extraordinary achievement. The recovery concludes a protracted and emotionally charged search, bringing a degree of closure for the family involved. Further details regarding the circumstances of the recovery and its potential impact on broader regional negotiations remain limited. In a separate development emerging from Iran, disturbing new videos have surfaced, reportedly depicting a grim situation within Tehran. The footage allegedly shows at least 31 bodies stacked inside a hospital and an additional 7 body bags outside the facility. Furthermore, other videos purport to show snipers positioned on rooftops. These reports, if independently verified, paint a stark picture of internal strife and a potentially escalating security situation within the country. The veracity and context of these videos are currently subject to ongoing assessment by international observers. Shifting focus to East Asia, China has reportedly purged its highest-ranked military general, Zhang Youxia. This development is particularly noteworthy as General Zhang had been widely perceived as a close confidant and ally of China's leader, Xi Jinping. While specific reasons for the purge have not been officially disclosed, such a high-profile removal within the People's Liberation Army's top brass often signals significant internal power shifts or campaigns against corruption, carrying substantial implications for the nation's military and political stability. Meanwhile, in West Africa, Nigerian military officers are slated to face trial following allegations of a coup plot. An investigation was launched last year, leading to the detention of 16 individuals now accused of conspiring to unseat President Bola Tinubu. This impending legal process underscores ongoing internal political sensitivities and the military's role in maintaining civilian authority within the nation. The outcome of these trials could significantly influence Nigeria's internal stability and democratic trajectory. In a somber report from the United States, a deadly winter storm continues to wreak havoc across multiple states. At least a dozen fatalities have been reported, with officials attributing these deaths to the severe weather conditions. The storm has also led to widespread flight delays and has left thousands of households without electrical power, disrupting daily life and posing significant challenges for emergency services across a large swathe of the country. Finally, a tragic maritime incident has occurred in the Philippines, where a ferry carrying approximately 300 passengers capsized, resulting in the deaths of at least 18 individuals. The local Coast Guard has initiated extensive search and rescue operations, currently looking for 24 missing passengers from the MV Trisha Kirsten. The cause of the sinking is under investigation, highlighting concerns regarding maritime safety in the region. The announcement by the United States to levy a 25% tariff on South Korean imports marks a critical juncture in international trade relations, specifically impacting the robust economic partnership between Washington and Seoul. This tariff hike, originating from President Trump's assertion that South Korea isn't adhering to prior trade commitments, targets a diverse range of South Korean goods. The immediate strategic consequence is an elevation of manufacturing costs for South Korean exporters, which will inevitably translate into higher prices for American consumers or reduced profit margins for importers. This move could also force a reevaluation of supply chains, with businesses potentially seeking alternative sources or relocating production to mitigate the new tariff burden. From South Korea's perspective, these tariffs represent a direct challenge to its export-oriented economy. Initial reports from Seoul indicate a strong sense of dismay, with officials likely to explore avenues for dispute resolution through international bodies, though the efficacy of such actions against unilateral U.S. measures often proves limited. The economic implications for South Korea are considerable. Key industries like automotive, electronics, and steel, which rely heavily on exports to the U.S. market, will face immediate pressure. A prolonged tariff regime could lead to job losses, dampen economic growth, and potentially trigger a broader economic slowdown in the nation. It's a situation that forces Seoul to consider domestic stimulus measures, diversification of export markets, or even retaliatory tariffs, though the latter risks further escalating trade tensions. When examining this through various media lenses, Western wire services like the BBC largely frame the action as a response to perceived trade imbalances and a push for stricter enforcement of trade agreements. However, a deeper dive into regional analyses, particularly from Asian financial outlets or even through the lens of independent economic commentators, might highlight the significant disruption to established trade norms and the potential for a weakening of alliances. They might emphasize how such unilateral actions can undermine the multilateral trade system and create an environment of uncertainty for international investors. For instance, while the BBC focuses on the not living up to a trade deal, other perspectives might delve into the specific clauses of that deal and argue whether the perceived non-compliance justifies such an aggressive response, or if it's more reflective of a broader protectionist policy. The long-term strategic consequences of this tariff increase are multifaceted. Economically, it introduces an element of unpredictability into global trade, potentially prompting other nations to consider similar protectionist measures. This could fragment global supply chains further, leading to decreased economic efficiency and higher costs globally. For the U.S., while the tariffs are intended to protect domestic industries, they could also harm American businesses reliant on South Korean components or those that pass on increased import costs to consumers, potentially fueling inflation. Politically, this move strains a crucial alliance in East Asia. South Korea is a vital security partner for the United States, particularly in managing regional challenges posed by North Korea and China. Economic friction could spill over into diplomatic relations, potentially complicating coordinated responses to security threats and undermining the collective strength of the alliance. This isn't merely about trade numbers, it's about the fabric of a strategic partnership that has underpinned regional stability for decades. The decision to impose such tariffs signals a transactional approach to international relations, where economic leverage is prioritized, potentially at the expense of broader geopolitical alignment and cooperation. This shift in U.S. foreign economic policy compels allies to reevaluate their own strategic vulnerabilities and may push them towards greater economic independence or towards cultivating stronger trade ties with alternative partners, including regional rivals. This could subtly but significantly alter the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region over time. Today's geopolitical landscape was dominated by significant shifts in international trade policy, alongside ongoing regional conflicts and internal political realignments. The U.S. decision to increase tariffs on South Korean imports has set the stage for economic repercussions and potential diplomatic strain. For our watch list for the next 24 hours. First, monitor South Korea's official and detailed response to the U.S. tariffs, particularly any announcements regarding countermeasures or appeals to international trade bodies. The tone and substance of their reaction will indicate the potential for further escalation. Second, keep an eye on any further developments from Iran concerning the reported videos of hospital conditions and security deployments, as confirmation or denial of these events could signal a critical turning point in the country's internal stability.